of a small Texas town looked upward as one and were left thinking, is that weird or what? January 8th, 2008, the sleepy dairy town of Stephenville, Texas. Looks nice, doesn't it? Another peaceful evening for Erath County Police Officer Leroy and amateur pilot Steve Allen is suddenly destroyed by a close encounter of the first kind.
When I got out of my car, I saw this bright light, appeared to be changing colors.
It was real close, like 1,500 foot in the air and about 1,500 foot over from us. And whatever it was didn't make any noise at all. It's totally silent.
Everyone in the community has accepted that there was something strange happening the night of January 8, 2008 in Erath County.
The mysterious light show was witnessed by many others, and by morning, the whole county is reporting spooky UFO sightings.
You know, you always see the UFO shows on TV, and I really didn't believe in UFOs. I mean, I always thought there was a legitimate explanation.
I feel like these are from somewhere besides Earth. I don't think they're from Earth. It was almost like a biblical event. We couldn't come to a conclusion of what it was.
But for Steve Allen, the mysterious lights were just a half of it. He thinks the UFOs were joined in the sky that night by a far more familiar-looking aircraft.
We went in the house to figure out what happened, and somebody called and says they're coming back, and we ran outside, and that's when we saw the two F-16s in pursuit. And I thought, well, why is our government chasing something, you know, or what are we doing, you know, are we at war with somebody, or could be end times, or a lot of things passed through my mind. And, you know, I kind of made a beeline after that to my house, because I thought if there was a problem or something happening, I wanted to be at my own home with my family.
So, what are we dealing with here? Well, this clearly isn't one of those stories we hear about after some lone prank experiences an alien visitation, probably gets abducted and yada yada yada. No, what we have here is just, it's much more interesting. A UFO sighting, shared by dozens, if not hundreds of level-headed Texans. You can find them. So, could so many people see something at the same time and all believe it to be a UFO and it not be the truth? Cognitive neuroscientist Professor Alison Sekou specializes in researching how the human brain interprets everyday events. She believes there may be a more down-to-earth explanation for the mystery of the Texas lights.
Officially, UFO stands for Unidentified Flying Object. People don't like unidentified. The brain doesn't like unidentified. The brain's job is to make sense of the world.
Do you see, to Professor Secure, eyewitness statements, especially those of mysterious and hard-to-explain phenomena, are often innocent misinterpretations.
Different people can look at exactly the same thing out in the real world and see completely different things. Because the way that you see the world is not actually a reflection of what's physically out there. It's a reflection of how that information interacts with your brain. And so, because my brain has different sorts of perspectives on the world and different experiences, I'll interpret something differently than someone standing next to me who's had a different sort of life experience and a different perspective on what they're looking at.
So apparently, when faced with something new, the brain will look for answers by trying to match what we're seeing with something similar from our previous experience, memory, and cultural background. And of course, in the United States, seeing strange lights in the sky can only mean one thing.
Movies can have a big impact on the way that we think about and see the world. So if there hadn't been a whole flurry of UFO movies in recent history, it'd be less likely that all these people would have said, it's a UFO.
I'm not saying I saw a UFO, but with all the reports from everybody else, apparently that's what I saw.
Okay, so when it comes to finding a rational answer for something weird, we humans might just form a consensus that's based subconsciously on what we've seen in movies or read in comic books when we were kids. So given the right light angle and conditions, someone seeing an innocent frisbee flying through the air might process it as something altogether different. So, whatever the people of Stephenville saw that night may not have been an alien spacecraft, but the fact remains, they saw something very weird. What was it?
There is no evidence that the Earth has been visited in the past or is being visited today by extraterrestrial aliens. No evidence whatsoever.
James McGowan is a retired Air Force pilot and a complete skeptic about alien visitation. It's one of the spoils for it. As far as he's concerned, he knows exactly how to explain the mysterious lights. They were military flares.
This is Stephenville right here. Here's where the aircraft were flying that night. At the exact time they were saying they saw lights in the sky, there were 8 F-16s in the area, flying maneuvers, both with afterburners, which produce lights with their formation lights on, and they were dropping flares.
Now, you see, flares are used by the Air Force to solve two different yet equally important problems. One, there are ground illumination flares. These flares are dropped from aircraft in order to light up an area on the ground several miles wide. The flares are suspended in the air by a parachute. The heat from the flare helps to keep it aloft. Two, there are countermeasure flares. This kind is used to confuse enemy missiles targeted onto aircraft. The heat of these flares is hotter than the heat from the afterburner, causing heat-seeking missiles to lock onto and track the flare instead of the military jet. Interesting.
The aircraft were maneuvering all around. The flares were being dropped, so there was lights and everything. It would be very difficult for someone, unless they knew exactly what the military maneuvers were, to actually understand who was chasing what.
Okay, so I gotta admit, flares being dropped from F-16s in war game exercises seems like a plausible explanation for the Stephenville lights. But for some, this theory just doesn't add up. Could the U.S. government be covering up the truth?